couple weeks ago, right after the MLB lockout ended, it was revealed that MLB has ambitious plans for international games in the next 4 years. Since then, a little more information has come out on top of what I put out here 2 weeks ago, but most of the details won't be settled for a while. So here I'll be going over MLB's international plans once again, with some new details, and since these plans are quite vague, I'll give my ideas of what I think they're planning to do and what they should do. You might have different ideas, and if you do, leave a comment. And if you like talking and hearing about this sort of thing, and about baseball all over the world, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. The first big international event will be in September of this year when the WBC qualifiers take place. The original plan was to have the qualifiers 1 year before the main tournament, but going by that schedule, we're already late. The MLB season will still be going on, so Major League players will not be available, but most of the countries in the qualifiers don't have any Major League players. After the MLB season, they'll hold exhibition series in Taiwan and Korea. One update on that, they were hoping to hold the MLB Taiwan games at the new 40,000 capacity Taipei Dome, which is now under construction. However, due to fire safety issues, construction has been put on hold and the dome will not be ready by that time. In March of 2023 will be the World Baseball Classic, 2 years delayed. Notice that the next WBC is scheduled for 2026. I assume that the one after that will be in 2029, then it will be back on its original schedule and they can hold it once every 4 years. What I mean is next year's WBC will be a 2-year delay of the 2021 edition. The 2026 WBC will be a 1-year delay of the 2025 edition. Then they'll be right where they should be with the 2029 Classic. This seems like the right way to do it. 2 delayed events, no canceled ones. The only downside I can see is that the 2026 WBC is really close to the Winter Olympics, like the first WBC was in 2006. But it's just one time, shouldn't be a big problem. Starting in May of 2023, MLB will be playing an annual series at Arpeluz Stadium in Mexico City. This one was originally scheduled for 2020, but that was of course canceled. It's great that they're playing in Mexico City and trying to build up an audience there, but I don't like that they're going with that one city in Mexico every single year. The Mexican series has taken place in Monterrey a number of times in the recent past, and it's always gone well. Plenty of support, in a city where baseball has a much greater following than in Mexico City, the richest, safest, and perhaps cleanest city in Mexico, and it's right there near the Texas border. Of course, they want to have a large Major League following in the big capital city, but they risk losing the following they've already gained in a fairly large city that's just across the border. In June of next year, the MLB London Series returns. This is great news. The 2019 series was well received. They had a lot of momentum going into their scheduled 2020 return, only to have the series canceled. They'll play in London again in 2024 and 2026. In 2025, MLB will hold its first regular season series in Paris. This was the biggest surprise of all. I think I see how MLB is trying to do this, and I think they're going about it the right way. They want to hold a series in Europe every year and have London as the home base. London is the sports capital and events capital of Europe, and that's where you want to have the majority of the games played. But you also want to try out different areas, not just build a following in the UK, but throughout the continent. Paris is the obvious second choice after London. They schedule one series there to see if it'll work. If not, they can try out other cities like Berlin, Rome, Madrid, or Amsterdam. If it does go over well in Paris, they may just stick with that. No matter what business you're in, if you can only sell your product in 2 European cities, you want it to be London and Paris. And the cities are so close you could actually split the series between the 2 cities in the future. One day in London, next day in Paris. Some have also wondered if the Paris series is a sign that they'll be bringing back the Montreal Expos and are using this to dive into the French-speaking market. Maybe they'll even use the event to announce the Expos' return and market them as the team for French-speaking fans. Latin America will get its share of Major League activity. After the 2023 season, there will be an MLB tour somewhere in Latin America. No idea where at this point. I've got some ideas though. One would be Colombia. They've recently been making quite a name for themselves in the baseball world, with their 2017 WBC run, their 2021 Under-23 Baseball World Cup bronze medal, most recently their 2022 Caribbean Series title, and more Colombians in Major League Baseball than there have ever been before. A visit to Colombia by Major League players could help bring the game out of the coastal region of that country. For so long, the game has been played only in the northernmost part of the country, while it's been largely unknown in the main part of the country. Now, with all their recent success, the time is right to try and make baseball a national sport in Colombia, rather than just a regional one. Another idea is to have MLB tours go through Mexico. Baseball has a strong following in Mexico, but more in some areas than others. Guadalajara would be a good place to have a postseason tour. Baseball is big there, and it would be during the Winter League season, so they could possibly coordinate something with the LMP teams in the western part of the country. An even better idea is to go down there in March and hold spring training games with LMB teams. Some of the LMB cities haven't been doing so well in attendance in recent years, and an MLB tour could help give them a boost. But that idea will have to wait at least another 5 years. As you can see here, spring training belongs to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic in 2024. This will be followed by MLB regular season series in 2025 and 2026 in San Juan, which they've done so many times in the past. Another city that's no stranger to MLB series is Tokyo. That's where the 2025 season will open. The 2024 season will open somewhere in Asia. A USA Today article stated that the 2024 opener would likely be Tokyo again, but I don't think that's what they mean. They've never opened back-to-back years in Tokyo, and it wouldn't make much sense either. Once every 5 years or so is about right. In 2008, they had the reigning World Series champion Boston Red Sox in Tokyo with Daisuke as their opening day starter. In 2012, Ichiro played in Japan for the first time in a Major League uniform. In 2019, Ichiro played in his final game at Tokyo Dome. So you see, every time MLB opens a season in Tokyo, it's a special event with a lot of buzz. Play it too often and they risk wearing out their welcome, especially with NPB season opening at around the exact same time. NPB is still a lot more popular in Japan than MLB. And now there's a Japanese star as big as Ichiro was. I am sure that one of the teams playing in Tokyo in 2025 will be the Angels. The return of Shohei Ohtani in an Angels uniform will be huge. And unfortunately for Oakland A's fans, they will most certainly be the home team once again, just as they were in 2008 against Daisuke's Red Sox and the last 2 times against Ichiro's Mariners. Doesn't seem fair, but that's how they do it every time. So then we have to wonder where the 2024 opening series will be. I would rule out any new markets outside of the traditional East Asian baseball countries. China could maybe host a postseason tour, and that would eventually lead to an opening series taking place there years later. But since there is no MLB activity scheduled for the next 4 years in China, it's safe to assume that there will be no regular season baseball there anytime soon. Same for India and Pakistan. Could happen there one day, but right now it's even less likely than China. The likely candidates for hosting an MLB series in Asia are Korea, Taiwan, and, though it's not in Asia, Australia. There's no mention of Australia in their plans, but they might be including Australia with Asia since it's in the same time zone. Australia hosted the MLB opening series for the first and last time in 2014, with the Dodgers and Diamondbacks paying a visit. Now would be a good time to pay another visit. Baseball had been gaining a lot of momentum, but 2021 was a really disappointing year for Australian baseball. They had to drop out of the Olympic qualifier, and they did have a really good chance of qualifying. Then the Australian Baseball League had to cancel its 2021-22 season, for the first time since the league was relaunched over a decade ago. An MLB series would do a lot to keep interest in the game going, even with all the cancellations. But I'd be willing to bet that MLB intends on holding a series in either Korea or Taiwan. It would be the first time for either country to hold a regular season series, and the postseason tour schedule for next fall will probably be used to determine which is the better place. Taiwan has the potential to be a bigger event, assuming the Taipei Dome is completed by that time. There have been a lot of setbacks with the construction, but it will certainly be ready by then. With a capacity of 40,000, it would be bigger than anything in Korea, and there's plenty of enthusiasm for baseball in Taiwan. The event would be a huge success. However, I think MLB and the sport of baseball would have more to gain by holding a series in Korea, even though it would be a small crowd by Major League standards. Korea's go-to international baseball stadium is Gocheok Skydome, and it only seats around 17,000. Baseball has been on the decline there recently. It's still really big, of course, but not like it was. Baseball and soccer have gone back and forth as the country's biggest sport. Baseball was number 1 in the 90s. Then in 2002, Korea co-hosted the World Cup and made it to the semifinals, and soccer took over. Baseball made a comeback when the Korean baseball team reached the semifinals in the 2006 WBC and the finals in 2009. Since then, soccer has really established itself as the country's top sport. A poll conducted last year revealed that Korean sports fans now prefer soccer to baseball about 7-3. And the KBO has seen a loss of interest from fans. A regular season MLB series could help revive some lost interest. If they were to hold it right now, it would be perfect to bring them the AL East matchup of Rays and Jays, with Hyunjin Ryu pitching for Toronto and Ji-Man Choi hitting for Tampa Bay. Good chance they'll be playing for different teams by that time, but you get the idea. The series would also be accompanied by a few exhibition games between MLB and KBO teams, as is done with every opening series in Tokyo. It would be really good for Korean baseball fans to see a couple of their domestic teams going up against major league teams. Might bring back some enthusiasm for the KBO. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.